Hello everyone. This is second part of chapter 10 from our book First Flight, the title being The Sermon at Benares. In part 1, we came to know about the first phase of Siddharth's life, Gautam Siddharth's life, who was born as a royal prince. Now, what sermon did he deliver and to whom did he deliver, which became his first ever sermon delivered to the world? This is the sermon at Benares. Before we proceed, let us come to know about the theme and the message that Gautam Buddha gives through this sermon. The mystery of life and death has always baffled us. It has always confused us. Whenever we lose someone near and dear to us, we are in grief, which is but natural, which is but human, because it is not so simple and it is not so easy for us to cope with the loss of the dear and near ones. This lesson reminds us that death is the ultimate truth. Every creature who is born must die one day. The mystery of life and death, where Gautam Buddha, he enlightens other souls also. As we discussed in the previous part, this lesson is about the early life of Gautam Buddha and his first sermon preached at Benares. A woman who had lost her son in grief comes to Buddha, pleads him to bring her son back to life. Now let us read the lesson and find how Gautam Buddha taught the lady that death was inevitable. Inevitable means that it has to be. One cannot avoid it. Kisa Gautami lost her only son, and in her grief, she went from house to house asking people for medicine to bring her son back to life, but all in vain. One man told her to go to Sakyamuni, the Buddha, and she followed the advice because she was such a grief-stricken mother who wanted her son to come back to life at every cost. She went to Buddha and cried, "Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my dead son." Gautam Buddha, he answered, "Bring a handful of mustard seed from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or friend." She went from door to door but could not find even a single house to fulfill the condition. Then she came to know that death is ultimate truth. One who is born must die. Therefore, the wise do not lament on death. This is one story, the mustard seed, which here we are reading in form of the sermon at Benares. This is one of the same thing. Just for knowledge, I have taken this extract from somewhere, this illustration. Let us read the chapter now. Kisa Gautami had an only son and he died. In her grief, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine, and the people said, "She has lost her senses," because in such condition people generally say this. "The boy is dead." At length, Kisa Gautami met a man who replied to her request. "I cannot give thee medicine for thy child, but I know a physician who can." He said, "I cannot give you medicine for your child, but I know a man who can do something for you." The woman, she requested, "Pray, tell me, sir, who is it?" And the man replied, "Go to Sakyamuni, the Buddha." They knew Buddha by the name of Sakyamuni. Kisa Gautami, she went to Buddha and cried, "Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy." This is the suggestive picture where Kisa Gautami is crying. The Buddha answered, "Fine, I'll do something, but before I do, I want a handful of mustard seed." When this girl, Kisa Gautami, she heard that she only was supposed to bring a handful of mustard seed, in her joy, she promised to procure it. But before she left the place, Buddha added, "The mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or friend." Just as the man said, Gautam Buddha had a solution. He asked Kisa Gautami to get a handful of mustard seeds. Restored with hope, Kisa Gautami thought it to be a very simple task until this condition was put in front of her. This is a handful of mustard seed. Just a suggested picture. Now she went from house to house, but she could not find a single house where someone had not died. Everyone was ready to give her a handful of mustard seed, but when she placed the condition put by Gautam Buddha and she asked, "Did a son or a daughter or a father or a mother die in your family?" They answered her, "Alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of our deepest grief." And there was no house but somewhere some beloved had died in it. Once again, Kisa Gautami went from door to door, but this time she was looking for mustard seeds. Many had mustard seed to offer, but none of them could fulfill Lord Buddha's condition of having seen no death in the family. Upon being asked, people requested her not to remind them of their deepest griefs. Unfortunately, she couldn't find a suitable home to get mustard seeds for her son. All hope was lost for Kisa Gautami, and thus, in extreme pain and anguish, she found herself at a place to ponder at the edge of the road. She was sitting there. She continuously watched city lights blinking and observed them till there was just darkness all around. After deep reflection, she realized that man's fate was just like these city lights that flicker and extinguish repeatedly. The cycle of birth and death is nature's way of working. Suddenly, she became conscious as to how selfish she had been in her sorrow, and that one who was born must rest eternally. Men are mortal, and the ones that are immortals have covered a path free from all worldly pleasure. So you can see this picture here where an earthen pot maker makes a pot, but one day that pot gets broken somehow, gets demolished. Same is the scenario with the human life. We are born, we are brought up, we are reared, we are groomed up, and finally, after completing the journey of our life, the life comes to an end, and we all have to accept the fact. So finally, when she realized her mistake, she again went back to Buddha, who told her that life of mortal in this world is troubled and brief and combined with pain, for there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. After reaching old age, there is death. Of such a nature are living beings, because we all are of such a nature. We become old, either we fall sick, some are unfortunate ones die untimely death when they meet accidents, or some unfortunate happening occurs to them, but this is the final end of the human life. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals, when born, are always in danger of death. As all earthen vessels made by the potter end in being broken, so is the life of mortals. Both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise, all fall into the power of death. All are subject to death. This was the first sermon given by Gautam Buddha to Kisa Gautami. He enlightened her. He told her about the cycle of life. This is the life cycle. We are born up, then we become a little boy or a girl and become teenager, and then a youth, middle ages, then finally we come to old age and ultimate end. According to Lord Buddha, one should not grieve or weep or be miserable at something which is bound to happen, for it will keep man away from obtaining peace of mind. I know it is very difficult for us commoner, for us simple human beings, but we all would have to grab this understanding. We cannot stop anything. It is none in our hand. It will only multiply the pain and suffering, thus leading to physical weakness, and moreover, no amount of grief would bring back the dead. It is very important to understand that one must move past feelings like sorrow and grief, as it is the only way that leads to the path of salvation. Very difficult to attain, yet attainable. If human beings like Gautam Buddha could attain it, just because of they let this understanding go deep down into their soul. So I hope some of us may also be able to understand one day. The only way death works is by withdrawing the person from the living world. That is, the person ceases to exist. No one has control over death. Neither a father can save his son, nor a kinsman his relative. Just like an ox is taken to the slaughterhouse to be killed, so does death do with mortals, leaving none behind. Thus, the one who knows this truth and doesn't grieve at the loss is the one who has been called wise by Lord Buddha. Not from weeping or from grieving will animal obtain peace of mind. On the contrary, his pain will be the greater and his body will suffer. He'll make himself sick and pale, yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. He who seeks peace should draw out the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. He who has drawn out the arrow and has become composed will obtain peace of mind. He who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. So, this was Gautam Buddha, who enlightened many lives during his lifetime through his moral discourses, his religious lectures, which we call sermons, and even after his mortal body is not amongst us, his sermons, his preachings, his commandments, they are available to be read and to be procured. So we always can take care of them and we can read. And this is the beautiful message which we get from the life of Gautam Buddha. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, that I take shelter in the Buddha. Buddha means the one who has got wisdom. So with this we come to an end of the second part of the sermon at Benares also. In the next part we will discuss the question answers. Till then, keep reading.